criminality of how to be stitched up by the police or judges or anyone through Freakmasonry. Watch this guy. But he's now going to mention the Freakmasons, as usual, and how corrupt they are. Listen to it.
Judges, the judges, they're more in sex cases than the sex cases.
Can you imagine?
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
3 years, 28 months, and all that.
Yeah.
But the judge is up there sitting up there in stocking suspenders, the geezer, you know what I mean?
Look at Savile, he got away with it until he died.
Corrupt.
It's like the establishment protected him.
Come on, you tell me the police didn't know about him.
Totally knew about him, yeah.
Totally knew about him.
He was doing a weekly lunch club for him.
You know, listen, they had the keys to Broadmoor. He was up there groping all the patients.
Yeah, and he was a Freemason, wasn't he? Because if you look at his funeral, the Freemasons were there, and they put the coffin at an angle and everything. Do you think the Freemasons were involved in the Essex Boys case?
Now, at this point, he's non-committal because obviously he has to be careful what he says. Yeah, because remember, these Freakmasons are top people across the country, and they can kill anyone at any point. Do you know what I mean? These Freakmasons. You think you're safe, you're not, because they're all gangsters. You know, they can kill me at any time. You know, the difference is, like I said, a lot of Freakmasons around here would be arrested, and you know, and they'd be grassing themselves up. Let's put it that way. No one's going to be doing, but you know, no one wants at their age anyway want to be doing life sentences, but that's another story. But listen, that's why he doesn't commit on that, because obviously, you know, he's on dangerous territory. Same as I am. I'm never safe. Anyone can kill me at any point. Anyone can kill you at any point if you're a truther. Do you know what I mean? And that's what the powers of the Freakmasons. But if you want to know about it, like I said, listen to his full story and where they like trying to, you know, it takes a year for a probation officer just to do a 2-page A4 report and doesn't, you know, and like you get 7 probation officers in 2 months and things like this. That's all him being stitched up by Freakmasons. This is what they do. They control the system. You know what I mean? The jail is a multi-million-pound you know, crime, you know, just for making money. Do you know what I mean? Billions of pounds a year just for the smuggling of drugs into the system. Do you know what I mean? Because they, you know, the dealers are passing it to people, you know, whether it be spice, whatever, and they just get, you know, going on their bank accounts and paying them, you know, the dealers within the jails. Do you know what I mean? And then the dealers are in the jails are then paying the screws. Do you know what I mean? And it just goes on and on and on like that, you know. But that's another story, my profane friends. The Freakmasons control it all. But listen.
Do you know what? I don't know, mate. It's I don't know. There's a lot of skullduggery going on there. With the. But there's a lot of criminals.
Yeah.
A lot of criminals that are part of a lodge. The Freemasons Lodge, where police officers are members of the lodge.
In Essex?
In London, whatever.
Yeah.
And these top hole bill send messages through the criminal world. Watch this, they got a team out looking for you, we got this, we got that. So they're wising you up of what's coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so much bent old bill out there. It's unbelievable. And you know what it is? They try and suck up to the villains. No, like heavy villains.
Yeah. They
work their way in. They do them a little favour and all that, and then they start getting looked after. And then if there's an investigation going on about a certain villain, then the whole bill will turn up and say, look, they've got a case on, they're looking at you, shut shop, blah, blah. It happens all the time.
Do you think some of these cops get gangsteritis? They're like hanging out with the gangsters and then they want to be tough guys?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Because to catch a villain, you've got to become a villain.
Mm.
You've got to know all the ways of a villain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they become sort of villains with a badge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it works. They got a license to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And no one can say about it.
Yeah.
And it's wrong. And it's wrong.
Can you take us through the day of your release?
Yeah.
And the reason they get away with it is because their authority hides that Masonic apron. You see, and that's what they do. They use uniforms, suits, like doctors' uniforms. If they want to, pretend you as crazy, they'll use doctor uniforms, but they'll hide their Masonic apron behind that white coat. They'll come to arrest you as police, plant evidence, all of that, fit up kits. Again, with that police uniform on, it hides a Masonic apron. And this is how they've been screwing people over for centuries and decades. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, when they steal gold or wealth from people, getting someone's house, getting someone's inheritance, whatever that may be. I mean, like classic today, like I had a parcel delivered from America, yeah? Right, and it's supposed to come through UPS or whatever, not UPS, the American whatever, yeah, they said, it comes from there. I paid for high end postage, right? Yeah. Anyway, it gets to this end and then UPS picks it up, yeah. Like the go between, like with the bailiffs where they pick up, they pay the fine and say, oh, we'll collect this money, we'll buy this off you. Do you know what I mean? But this UPS was doing the same thing, yeah. I've got it on like video or whatever anyway. But the thing is, and I'm saying to him, you're corrupt, I pay high end tax and for the taxes and everything at the other end of America, which it should be done, and then they're telling me it's labelled wrong by the UPS or whatever, yeah, and then they're picking it up this end, the UPS, yeah, and then they're buying that parcel off them, and then they've got an outstanding fee, and they're trying to charge me £45 to pay the tax fees on it, like the import fees. Do you know what I mean? Where I've paid the high end already, £150 or near on £200 to get it shipped to my address for free. Do you know what I mean? But the UPS are picking up the parcel. Why it's transferring from one company to another, I don't know or have an idea why that is. But then they're trying to chart, and the geezer come to my door, yeah, and just instead of what's it? Posting the bloody, he didn't even actually bring the parcel to the door. All he did was come to the door, didn't knock, didn't make any noise or anything, and sneakily posted the invoice through my door, yeah? So I rung him up and said, your mate here, he's just posted it and done a runner and drove off as fast as he could in his van. And he's gone, oh. He go, no, he did knock and no one answered. Now I said, no, I've got him on camera. And he went, oh, yeah. Well, he shouldn't be doing that. And then they're apologising. I'm saying, well, you're trying to extort money because basically what you're saying to me is, if I don't pay that fee, you're not going to deliver my parcel. You weren't delivering my parcel anyway because you come to my door just with an invoice and posted it through. You've already sent me emails on it and everything else. You're just working it as a Freemason company, extorting money and using the Brotherhood to, keep people poor and paying all these fines. I say, how many people across the world are you doing that to? You know what I mean? If they're paying £45, everyone's paying £45 because you're playing this con and swizz and saying people owe an income tax fee or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I've got it on pay. Let's see if I can get it up. Wait there, just to show you. You know what I mean? Oh God, I am my profane friends. I've got to get my glasses on. Right, let's see if I can get it. Yeah. Remember, they use this in war. You know what I mean? We're fighting that in the old war today. They can't help putting their symbolism on everything. You know what I mean? Right, let me just show you where it is. Hopefully here. The invoice is there. I can see the invoice. Now I just got to find this is him in it. Yeah, look. This is the geezer here, yeah? Look at him. He doesn't even bring my parcel to the door, look. Why won't that play? Oh, yeah, it's down here. Sorry, that is playing.
I mean, no, I paid a lot of money for this dude to turn up. Yeah, I'll show you in the next video. This is how they try and extort money from you, yeah? Obviously, in the next two videos, you'll see and they try to extort money from you. Now, I paid a lot of money for this dude to turn up. Yeah, I'll show you in the next video, as I said. But this is the guy, how UPS tried to deliver your parcels. He's not even got the parcel in his hand. Look. See, didn't knock on the door, didn't do anything, because they know exactly what they're doing, yeah? He's more than likely getting a right cut out, getting £45 out of me, do you see what I mean? And that's what they do, but you'll hear it in the next couple of videos I've done on him, yeah? But this is how UPS treat you, do you know what I mean? They try and extort the money, and they're using the same technique all the time on other companies, do you know what I mean? Like when you get the bailiffs round, they're buying your fines, yeah? These people, you're sending parcels from America or whatever, they're getting to the UK, yeah? And then these people are taking the parcels off whoever, yeah? They know what they're doing, and then they're putting their fees on, like, oh, you owe taxes and all of that, you know what I mean? All government fiddling. And if you do the research into the companies, you'll find they all belong to Freakmasons. Do you see what I mean? And it's all about keeping you poor, paying your fines, you know what I mean? So you can't have any money to live on. Do you know what I mean? This is how they're screwing you over all the time. You know, like I said, he's getting £45 over me, right? So you imagine if there's, I'm just saying, 100 people in the UK getting the same technique from this company. Yeah, how much money does that all amount up to over the years? Do you see what I mean? How many times a day are they doing this to people? Anyway, I'll show you one more time. You know, where's the parcel? He doesn't even bring my parcel to my door. All he does is put an invoice through the door for 50 quid. Oh, there's noises now. I'll do it again. See, no ring of the doorbell, no nothing. See, that's the thing, you see, with this company. And as you'll see in the next two videos, yeah, how they try to con you, yeah, he posted it, he come to your door, he knocked on the door, you didn't answer, they give you all the lies and all the bullshit, but as soon as I tell them that I got him on video, that all changes. But again, the guy who I rang up, the complaint person, said that would be delivered for nothing. No, what he did is send another geezer through, do you see what I mean? It's all a con, do you see what I mean? Just to get that money out of you. All extortion, UPS, mate, keep away from them. You know what I mean? And make sure that you ever delivering your parcels, that they're reputable. You know, I have never had a problem with Avery or any of that sort of stuff. But these companies, pure Masonic, pure Freakmasons, watch them. And then, fiddles, yeah. Scumbag, Freakmason companies.
Yeah, fiddling you. And this is how they're playing it off all the time, you know. I've got other, you know, I could show you other videos, other examples where they're using this same technique just to extort money off people all the time, you know what I mean? And basically what it was, yeah, when I actually recorded the conversation on the phone, nothing was recorded. I think that switches off, you know, when I did the, like I'm recording now, it wouldn't record the sound on the telephone conversation. But the point of the matter is that on that telephone conversation, the first dude who I rang up said, oh yeah, okay, we'll now deliver that thing for free, yeah? And then another guy rings up 2 minutes later and then says, oh no, you've got to pay 45 quid. And I'm saying to him, well, at the end of the day, you're just trying to extort 45 quid off me. You've sent me emails on it. You sent me that. You haven't even come to my door with my parcel. Do you know what I mean? And then he's saying to me over the phone, he's going, well, unless you pay it today now over the phone, yeah, are you paying me or not? Are you paying us? Do you know what I mean? He's panicking because I was turning around and said, well, at the end of the day, I don't care. Send the part. I want that geezer back at my door today. Oh no, the first guy, yeah. I said, ring him up and tell him to come back with my parcel. Do you know what I mean? And he says, no, we've got no way of contacting the van. And I said, what sort of company are you running? What the hell is that? Wait there. I've got to just see something out the window. Wait there. The hell is that? I don't know what it is. I'll keep my eye on it anyway. I can't show you because I ain't got my camera. There's something weird going off over there. I'll film it after I finish this. But anyway, so what was it I said? Yeah, so the first guy I spoke to said it would be delivered free, and we're sorry about that. Yeah, it'll be delivered free, and but he turned around and said, "Well, I can't phone the. That'll be 24 hours now. Yeah, 24 hours to 48 hours, where I've got to now email them. Yeah, and put a complaint in. Yeah." I said, I'm not doing that, waiting to another 24 hours, 48 hours, and then get shifted, getting that, like a tennis court, back and battered back and forth just to complain because my parcel don't come and you've still delivered my parcel anyway. And I'm not going to pay any fees to you or anything until my parcel's at my fucking door. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, this other guy rings me up. I say the same story to him, and obviously he lied. He go, well, he knocked on the door, he said, and he waited like 5 minutes and all this sort of shit. Obviously, you've seen that. That is a lie. And I said, no, I've recorded that and I got it on camera. Do you know what I mean? You're going, oh yeah, all right, whatever. And he said, well, are you paying the fees today and we'll re-deliver it tomorrow? I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to pay you nothing now. I said, send that parcel back, do whatever. If you can't get the geezer back here today, yeah, I'm not paying nothing. You can send it back. I'm going to cancel it and I'm not doing anything. Well, anyway, 5 o'clock, turned up at my door, paid the man and got my parcel. Do you know what I mean? But he said he couldn't contact the vehicle, couldn't speak to the man who's driving the van. So I'm saying, what sort of company are you running? You can't even contact your workforce on the vans and tell them what to do. I said, come on, do you know what I mean? But he knew it was just like a ploy. It's just like dealing with bailiffs, do you know what I mean? The old bailiffs, Masonic bailiffs. But that's what they do. They extort this money. That's an extra 45 quid they got out of me, yeah? Or they weren't going to deliver my parcel. Do you know what I mean? Basically, we're keeping your parcel. You better pay the import tax and all the. Again, look, I can't really show you. Oh, I did screenshot some of it. Let me show you. I can't show you that. That's the telephone call conversation. Look, and as you can see, look, there's no sound to it at all. You know what I mean? Nothing all the way through it. So everything was missed out. Yeah. You know what I mean? The whole lot. There's the shipping, look, what I paid at the other end. Do you know what I mean? The shipping, if you have a look, USPS, that's the other company, USPS, Priority Mail, International, see? That's what I paid, yeah, over $145, well, $144, yeah, and then that was supposed to secure that I would have no fees at this end, yeah, because it was a priority thing or whatever. Anyway, and like I said, when it landed on this side of the continent, yeah, they're then gone, oh, you now owe us this, you now owe us that, and this is what they posted through my door. All it is a bit of paper, yeah, that they've printed out themselves, right, and put a fee on. As you can see, look, the fee is there, look, £49. They actually wanted £49, not 45, and the company is UPS licensing, look, you see, and that's what it's about. But this is how they get you and screw you. All the look, duty VAT charges are estimated, yeah, and all they've done is got a bit of paper and printed up a load of shit themselves. Do you see what I mean? And charged me 45 quid. I don't know if it's like they broke the law yet or not. I'm going to actually check it with the police. Do you know what I mean? Because like I said, it should come through on the taxes and incomes and all the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? But they're extorting money for 45 quid for taxes or things they're printing out themselves. You know, this is just a bit of paper they've printed out and say, oh, you owe us 45 quid. We are not going to deliver your parcel unless you pay us 50 quid. Do you know what I mean? But this is what they do, these Masonic companies. They're playing these con games. You know what I mean? So if I'm paying 45 quid, yeah, and they're doing it to another 500 people across across how much money are they making, these people? Do you see what I mean? It's just absolutely fucking diabolical. But anyway, that's not... That's not what we're talking about, you know what I mean? But that just shows you how these companies work, and they think we're stupid, you know what I mean? I could show you a bit more, but no, that was another. I was trying to get, you know. But the thing is, this is the thing with these people, you know what I mean? They're doing this and they're getting off all the other end. This is the people that control all these companies. And I don't know if you watched the Heraldry, like I said, these are the families that run these companies. You know, look, England, and look at the A, the Masonic A, because it's all to do with Heraldian families. And they've been conning and screwing us over for centuries. You know what I mean? You think about it, they're giving everyone now, right? They're giving, I'm getting right into a rave here, aren't I? But they're giving everyone these free, you know, digital ID things, yeah, all free, yeah. How come they've never ever put one solar panel free on people that struggle paying their bloody electric? You know what I mean? So why aren't they helping people like that? You think about it, but they'll put fireworks, like a big plane, set fireworks off in your town, put all these stupid statues up. They've just done something outside my door. I'm going to do a video on it. You know, what they did, there was a little, say, 2 foot by 1 foot, well, half a foot, little square, what's in your door. Yeah, it's been painted on, nothing dangerous on it. Yeah, it was asbestos, so they put these special tents round. Yeah, right, cost thousands of pounds to take it away, or on these, like, there's 6 flats in each fucking block. Yeah, they did that, then they painted it all. Yeah, then after painting it all, they put these canvas things up, and then when they've ripped the sellotape off, has took all the paint off, they now layered a floor down in there. The floor's been perfect for years. These flats, since I've been, like, you know, when these were being built, these were my playground. You know what I mean? So these were built 45 years ago. You know, and the floors are all perfectly okay outside the doors. Yeah, but they're putting all this special, like, substance down, like a leveler, and they're carpeted in it. Yeah, but you got cats and dogs going out there that are pissing everywhere anyway, so it's going to be stinking like hell. But no one's done this. But they're putting all these different things in what don't even need doing. You know, like, they've just painted the stairs and the rails and everything like that. All their companies, all the companies that are doing it, are all Masonically owned. You know, and are in the Brotherhood. Do you see what I mean? And this is how they're wasting money. Yeah, what they need to spend or whatever. But how many solar panels do they put on anyone's house? Like a family, you know, a family put a free solar panel on there to give them free electricity. They won't, because they own the big companies like that. That's why they do it, and so they get you paying through the nose all the time. These people here, these people that control your towns, control your cities, control your states, control your counties. Do you see what I mean? And they keep doing it all the time, over and over again. What free solar panels has anyone got? What free electric is anyone getting from these windmills they keep putting up? Do you see what I mean? It's just all their money and all their companies, and nothing benefits the profane ever. You know what I mean? It all flows up to that Masonic lodge. You know what I mean? Absolutely fucking horrendous. Now I've gone off track, but like I said, you know, the criminals, if you want to know who runs, you know, who runs anything, yeah, speak and listen to the criminals, as I keep telling you. You know, they tell you themselves, yeah, who runs everything, yeah. And like I said, the top criminals within my town, with my research, it's all Freakmasons. You know what I mean? And they've been doing it for centuries and decades. You know, they ain't called G travellers for nothing. Anyway, let's see if he's got anything else to say. Listen.
Yeah, I got out.
I know, he's just got thingy
got
now.
picked up.
But when you listen to the guy, yeah, he'll tell you how he did, you know, like, he got a 6-year sentence, but he ended up doing like 20 odd years or something. But you'll see how they manipulate it, because he did some offence to some Freakmasons, yeah, and he's got little things on his report that stops him getting his parole. You know what I mean? How they mess you about, and he tells you how the power is. The people who are smuggling all the drugs in, you know what I mean? The ones who are, you know, contributing to the drugs within your community are the police. You know, all of this. And that's the same system. Like I said, they run it all. You know, once you do the research into Freakmasons, anything that's to do with criminality, yeah, or keep people under a jackboot of corruption, yeah, the Freakmasons are behind it. You know, the businesses what are being owned here, and they want you to go into their businesses that they've owned for centuries and decades. I did one the other day. Look, watch this. You know what I mean? Look at this. Oh, how come I can't do that? Wait a minute. Let me push that in. Wait a minute. Ah, there we go. Look at this, look. Right.
3 times, all of that
That's their
malarkey.
Masonic signs. There's their war.
Humphreys,
He tells
Humbles, Furby.
Listen.
That's what they've been doing all along. Instigating trouble. Whilst reporting back to the Domestic Terrorism Unit, the Special Operations Unit at the Metropolitan Police, is what all now know. How going to get away with it? No, they're nicking people for all the trouble that they've caused and stirred. Do you just forget about, or they've been in stirring it? Do you just forget about that? Oh, they're all Freemasons as well. Oh, that's just a coincidence, sure. Got much James English show. Some of the ex-police he's had on lately, talking about Freemasonry within the police and how it runs the fucking show. Still to this day, I thought it was starting to change, but now it's still fully run the police intelligence, the whole lot of them, all these units, all Masons, the whole lot of them, and all that, the Metropolitan Police, all fucking Masons. And that's why they use these informers, like Sir Furby, Humphreys, so they can talk to them in the lodge about certain things, or get people to talk to them. We need this done, we need that done. It's off the record. Because now they've got to keep records between handler and informants. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of them do things, make moves and get messages to each other. That's off the record through Freemasonry. That's why they use these little Masonic intelligence cells to steer all this trouble, like they've done here. 36 people are facing possible prison sentences, or possible, I'm just saying, to date, 30, 31, 36. 36 people facing possible prison sentences due to this trouble that these people have instigated, these Freemasons, Humphreys and Humbles and Furby. How have they done it for? Oh, well, they're friendly with the Winter Hill gang. No, they're more friendly with the Masonry and the Metropolitan Police. Even if they're all friendly with the Winter Hill gang, didn't let them take your eye off the ball. You know what I mean? They want you thinking all the time, oh, the Winter Hill gang, we're doing this for, we're doing that for, and they're not. They're doing it for the fucking crown. That's what they're doing it for, instigating and inflaming trouble.
Fine friends.
And that's what that is the actual truth. Do you know what I mean? The gangs, yeah, you know, whether they're scooter gangs, 1% bikers, all of that, they're just not wearing their uniforms. You know what I mean? They're hiding their Masonic, their Masonic aprons behind gangs and men in suits and police. You know what I mean? I've shown you in my videos how they signal each other. You know, whether it's in a courtroom or on the streets on protests, you know what I mean? That's why Tommy Robson, if you look at all the people that surround him, are all gangsters. All the bouncers that look after Tommy Robson are all in that gangster vibe, you know. But this is what I'll try to show you here. Let me just go down a minute. Wait a minute. See, that's their Masonic companies. This is what I was on about. Yeah, look at this. Look, yeah. This is one of their companies. Look. This company here, right? Yeah, one company, an ice cream parlour, and you'll notice that the Masonic floor is outside. Look, it's Masonically blue, okay, right, and it's Masonically done out inside of blue and red lodge colours, blue lodge, red lodge colours, and the floor once again, yeah, okay, and they've been in business, look, for 117 years, okay, 117 years. Now, if you do the research on it, yeah, on the actual company, yeah, there's over 500 plus businesses registered at just this one postcode. Do you see what I mean? So one postcode, one business that they own, and here it is, obviously, where I've investigated it, yeah? And then I'll show you here, look, where is it? Wait a minute, come here, you. Oh, I can't scroll in. You've got to download it and then scroll in to get it, I think, which is a bit of a nightmare. I can't even do it. Wait there. Hopefully I can do it here. Can I do it here? Can I do it here? Oh, there it is. Is that it? International Export Limited, PA Perry Limited, 24, La Costa Nostra. Look, see? What is the La Cosa Nostra investments? Is that something to do with, like, you know, Italian gangsters or what? The Costa Nostra? I don't know. I did put that in there. But here on this, like when you download this and enlarge it, you'll see they actually own over 500 businesses. You know what I mean? The latest of June, the UK companies are 20 whatever. But you see, there it is. It's there actually. You can see it. 500 companies registered at the same postcode of PE 377QH. 500 plus businesses, and that's one Masonic business, and they've been in business for 117 years. So if you do the research on the buildings, you know, the ones what I've shown you that have the pyramids outside and all of that sort of rubbish, yeah, you'll see that it been Masonically owned. And then when you do the research in it, and then you can get onto like Thingy and Company houses, that you'll see it all comes into the same people that are all involved with, you know, gun running, drug smuggling, laundering money, all of that through different businesses. And this is what your Freakmasons have been doing for centuries and decades, but they don't want you to know that. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to know that. And then you got the original post on symbolism. I think, yeah, that was the symbolism of it. But yeah, that's what it is, you know. And they own over one business, yeah, on one postcode owns over 500 plus businesses, and you'll find that within your towns. You know, you haven't got, like I said, it's not a world problem we've got. It's a local problem, yeah, and it's the local Freakmasons that are controlling all the corruption. They're your doormen, they're your bouncers, they control the doors, the clubs, the pubs. Like I said, I've done all the research, you know. Like I said, they've, you know, they can kill me for what I'm saying, but then there'd be people arrested, you know, even those that like what they call it, when they're interested, an interesting party or something. I can't remember what the word is, you know. What is that word? Let me think. 2 seconds, and I'll tell you. I know exactly what it is because I've got it written on my little board. Yeah, they'll either be done for an accessory or a joint enterprise for conspiracy to murder. Do you know what I mean? Or gang stalking. You know, you've got the gang stalking, but that runs from 3 or 4 generations. That in alone does, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Where people are saying this, that, and the other. You know, whether they're going to murder me, put me in prison, you know, stitch me up, knock me off my motorbike, all of that. Do you know what I mean? That's my fucking friends, that is. So you go figure, you know what I mean? But like I say, when you deal drugs in this town, you're well respected. But that's another story. But like I said, if you want to know where the criminals are, you got to look to the criminals. Do you see what I mean? I mean, look at this. It's another post I did here. Look at the pins on this. Look, yeah. Where's the landmass on these? On these? Look, these are all Masonic pins of lodges owned within certain places. Okay. Look at it. Do the research. You know, that's Cornwall. That is down there. That's Britain. Oh, well, there's Great Britain. Look, Masonic lodges. Look at the lodges. They're all them dots are lodges, Masonic lodges. Well, actually, they're gang huts. Yeah, look at the gang huts. This is in America, look. See, New Hampshire in America and Connecticut. Look at all the gang huts. See, even building buildings in Square and Calm, piss, look. See, they own it all, you know. They own it all. It's all advertised. They own it all. It's there, look. It's been there through the history, look. They tell you, yeah. It's not gone anywhere. It's not gone anywhere at all. Look at Illinois. Look. Where's Illinois? You know what I mean? Look at the Masonic pins for the Masonic Lodge. That's not me. That's coming off their own websites. Yeah? You know what I mean? Their own websites. It's got nothing to do with me. That's a big write-up I did on that. You know what I mean? Look. It goes from part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. So it shows you the whole, you know, the whole lot. Look at part 1, yeah? That's part 1. It shows you the UK and the start, yeah? These are army barracks, yeah? Their main barracks here, look, yeah? Again, you've got to download the image and then enlarge it, yeah? But it goes on and on and on. You know what I mean? That it just doesn't stop. And then I'll show you more, you know, their symbolism. But that's what it's all about. It's what you're using all the time. You know, you're up against gangs. Look at this. This is New Zealand, look, yeah? Masonic lodges in New Zealand, look. Where's the landmass from the lodges that are actually within New Zealand? Look at the pins. They put that on there themselves. You see, they run and control the whole world. There's nothing they don't control. This is for this people here, the royals, the elites. You know what I mean? But there's people above them that we don't even know about. Let me just show you another couple of posts. What might be interesting? What I post, but like I said, look him up.
Humbles, Furby.
Look him up. You know. Well-established gangster, well-respected, and they know.
Fame, friends. Look, this is Bisetter Town.
This is what you're up against. These people. Do you know what I mean?
Is Lucifer the god of the Freemasons? Yes. To join.
What I noticed.
You know what I mean?
Hello. Hey, oi. Are you?
Right there. See, Freakmasons. See. And all it is, the criminals look after these people. Think about the Crave twins, yeah?
Remember, this is the book, yeah? Test number 16.
Just
Past
tells you their test for the dollar bill.
masters, the great...
the dollar bill, the amount of markings on the $1 bill, they just think that's the pyramid with the all-seeing eye. It's not. There's a lot more in there. There's passwords and there's grips. Do you know what I mean?
Great seal of the
book's there. The book's there for download,
So this is London in the year 1902.
All of this. Look, here's another business. Look, notice the A's. Look, see it. Look, all staff. See, courteous. Look at the A's. See, the A's. See it? Oh, did you see it? Look, the local. You see your locale, Masonic A. You see, and they own these sort of buildings like this. You see, because it's got the pyramid on top. Look, you see, and the sign itself. The actual sign there is the Omega sign, the Alpha, the beginning and the end. You see. They advertise they own it all. We own nothing, and that laundry will be doing because of their Masonic hotels. They'll be doing their sheeting, and their cloths for their restaurants and things like that. You see, keeping that business flowing and going. Do you see what I mean? For themselves, Again, you ought to read this book. It's called the Mahabone. Yeah. Mahaboni. I'm now putting it up as written in 1879. Yeah, I'm now doing that. It's an anti-Masonic book and a thingy and a book. The Master's Carpet and the Master's and the Masonic handbook combined all in one book, and exposes and uploading soon. You know what I mean? So that's what I'll be uploading soon. Go and watch it. This one here, this book here, that they call us the vulgar profane. That's what we are, the common people. The vulgar profane, the common people. The vulgar, the common people. We are vulgar to them, yeah? And again, in their own books, which I could show you right now, which I'm going to do in the next couple of days, I'll show you in their books how they think of us. They call us the profane.
An unbiased mediator.
An
unbiased mediator. That is what a judge should be.
But he ain't, because he's a Freemason, because he wears a Masonic apron under his wig. Do you see what I mean? And that's what it's all about. And this is what this all goes back to them. Remember, these people here, the Crays, yeah, they had all them parties for the MPs and the PMs and all the rest of it. And they're still running today. That's why they run the government, why they run the police, because they've been blackmailing them all. That's all run by blackmail, the whole shebang. You know what I mean? And it ain't called craft and, the crime and the craft Masonic involvement.
In recent years, they have tried to rebrand themselves as a modern, open organisation, but the Freemasons have long been dogged by conspiracy theories, scandal, and the image of a secretive society. Now, a new book claims to set the record straight on the Masons' links to some of the most notorious criminals and cases in history, from Jack the Ripper to the Great Train Robbery and the East End Cray Twins. Crime and the Craft has been written by the former Met detective Mick Neville.
As a senior detective, I was always fascinated by the history of crime, and I'm a free...
Again, look down.
Here we go, my profane friends. Like I said, they can't stop themselves. They give us the dots to connect how criminals in the Masonic fraternity of Freakmasons get away with everything. Yeah. Now, Carlton Leach is a Freemason. He's already admitted that on a podcast. But you'll see how he gets away with investigations after investigations. Yeah. And even they sit there going, well, how does he do it? The only thing they're not mentioning is that, he's a Freemason. You know what I mean? And the police and the crime lords work hand in hand in every town and city. You know what I mean? And you've got this special group of people that have gone back decades and centuries, where they've already admitted like their dads were in it, blah, blah, blah. But they're all crime lords. Listen.
I can't see how he wasn't found guilty, because Leach said, I was in the witness box and I said, all I remember was a black guy with a gold tooth. So he's trying to make it his mistaken identity. But the guy in the court is the guy who was full of holes. So there's not much, I suppose if he was a black guy with a gold tooth, it obviously was him, right? I mean, there couldn't have been anybody. Well, no, he had loads of stab wounds as well, and he's in hospital. That's what I mean, though, so it couldn't have been anyone else. So it could only be him. So he's talking... Didn't Carlton get arrested for stabbing the guy? No. That doesn't make any sense to me. No, it doesn't make any sense. The same when him and 7 of his friends or 8 of his friends kicked the Charlton Athletic supporter when they were in their early 20s into a coma. Cass Bennett and them all got nicked and Carlton got released. You know, who knows? Or his mate Phil Mitchell was arrested.
Out of EastEnders.
No.
See that? How they put a guy in a coma, all his mates got arrested apart from him. Do you see what I mean? You got to question that, haven't you? What sort of Masonic influence was that? Now, what we need to do now, the research, if we, you know, and I can't do it myself, but anyone listening to this can do it, find out who the arresting officers were in the case and then ask, were they Freakmasons? Do you see what I mean? And that, you know, did anyone, you know, did the original arresting officers get kicked off the case and then 2 other people put onto it? You know what I mean? Like that? Do you see what I mean? That just shows you how they worm their way into investigations to shut investigations down so they don't arrest their brothers. Do you know what I mean? Because they're working within that community to keep that chaos going. So you live in shit. You know what I mean? But just show you, you know, he stabbed someone up and they're going, well, he should have been arrested for that, but he wasn't. And then him and his mates back in the day kicked the guy into a coma. But again, he didn't get arrested. Do you see what I mean? He's the Freakmason. I don't know who the other 7 guys are, but were they profane people? Do you see what I'm saying? That's what you got to ask yourself. You know, if these 7 other people that he was arrested with, that was arrested, and he got away with it, you've got to question that, haven't you? He's a Freakmason. We know that. He's already admitted it on podcasts. And then 7 other people get away with it. Do you see what I mean?
No, he's a big guy. He's a proper guy.
I didn't know that. Sorry, Phil. No disrespect. I thought you were about to don't you mean Steve McFadden?
He was arrested with and you know, Leach wasn't. But I don't know all the ins and outs of that. I'm sure someone else does. But the thing about Battersea is 100%. He's grassed the guy up. Do you know what I mean? He says I was the chief prosecution.
Now, he's now going to admit he's in the Freemasons, yeah, along with his dad, you know, Kenny Noy, you know, all these top criminals, but most of them are because they invite their friends in. Do you see what I mean? Now, if he's got a criminal record, yeah, how did he join the Freemasons? Do you see what I mean? You know, they're supposed to be taking men on that have no criminal records. Listen.
Dad didn't do it, so that's one good thing. But what I was saying about what made me smile was somebody mentioned to me about there was a thing called Operation Tiberius. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what is this Operation Tiberius? And apparently it was all about the way that the police had been corrupted by organised crime.
Yeah.
And this is going back. You know, it's probably a 20 or 30-year-old.
It's been going for years.
Yeah, but what was interesting about it was,
and you know they brought up about Freemasonry, about criminals being in lodges with top old bill, like the gold bullion thing and all that. You know, like all that. Well, that's that. You know, like I know that fact is that police have to now go there, boom, because I'm a Freemason. I went in there with my dad like 30 odd years ago, right? So, but I know. There's a lot of police in different lodges, especially out the West End, and a lot of, but the police, like the Federation, because you have to swear over to look after your fellow brother.
Right.
So there was, the criminal element and the police used it to both their advantage.
Right.
By being brethren.
So you think that Freemasonry basically was the thing that basically joined them up?
No, well, yeah, a lot of them met in lodges.
Right.
And became friends, yeah.
Because this
but you have to be a Freemason to understand how it works, and when you're in a lodge, that every man's equal. Right. When you go through that door, I can't explain too much, but I get it, and then I knew, and the police said that from now on, they didn't want the police to hire up policemen to be a Freemasonry, right? And if they are, they've got to make it known to their superiors, because too many people will get criminals getting off for stuff.
I'm a brother as well. So,
yeah.
But I joined it because I wanted.
And there you go. You see, criminals.
An old East End guy, and he's sat in a pub,
And he said, I was in here having a drink one day, and Ronnie Cray was there, and Reggie Cray was there, and a young boy come in, a young kid. He said he was young, and he was cold, and he was wet, and he went over, and Ronnie put him on his knee, and this bloke said, I'd heard the rumours. So again, it was an open, and he said, Ronnie said to him, go upstairs and have a shower, I'll be up in a minute. And this guy turned around and said, he said, I pulled out a gun and said, if you go up with that kid, I'll do you here. I'll do you here. And he said, Ronnie just laughed and went, I was only joking. He said, I knew what was going on. So I hear that a lot, and I do. So I'm not a fan, and I haven't been. An oldie.
And there you go, you know what I mean? That's where you're going back to, the craze, yeah? It goes back to the craze, yeah? And families, yeah? And the families are all lords, dukes and earls, the G travellers, yeah? That looked after the wealthy people on their land, and this is what protects the elite today, and they're there, like the elites want someone wiped out, killed or shot or, unalived. The G travellers are the ones that are going to do it for them, whether they're police, whatever, you know what I mean? And it's all there. And like I said, they come out with it in their own in their own podcasts. Police officers as Freemasons is very dangerous, very, very dangerous. But there you go, you know what I mean? Oh, mate, it's just unreal. I wish I could just wake some of you people up. It's just absolutely atrocious the way like this. Look, you got these people working together, and they put their little symbol in. But you got to come and look at my posts, and this is what it's all about. The same thing, Look, you've got the white sashes. What were at Jimmy Savile's funeral, look into it. I've done videos on everything. My phone's now gonna die quick. Where's this recharger, baby? But I don't know, I've got more videos coming out on this, especially like Tommy Robson and things like that, because again, when you're waving these flags, yeah, these are Masonic flags, do you know what I mean? Masonic flags of war, do you know what I mean? And these are criminal, and like I said, his security, the security around him.
They have their lawyer.
The security around him, yeah, if you look at them, as I've said, are criminals that come out of the East End, Anyway, my profane friends, that's about it. But here it comes, look, the Masonic army, look, that's a Masonic army on the march. He's got his wand in his hand, and that's what it is, And all the money just keeps flowing up, and we get nothing. Like I said, at the end of the day, how many solar panels have they put up on people's roofs to give them free rent, to give them free electric, or help them with their electric? You know what I mean? You've got the MP here now who's a Freakmason. They're always Freakmasons. The MP here, Rupert Lowe, he's going, I'm giving my wages to charity. But every person he's give his wages to, if you research it, yeah, belong to the Masonic Lodge, and they go to the Minster in Great Yarmouth. Do you know what I mean? Where you got all the Masonic symbolism and the organ, with all the Masonic symbolism on it and all of that bollocks. Do you know what I mean? With the slates, with the royals on the slates. Do you see what I mean? And then on the pews, you've got the the Royal Order of the Druids and the Royal Archmasons. Do you know what I mean? That's on the pews in the church that you sit on. Do you know what I mean? And people think that's all to do with God. No. But that's what you're dealing with. You see what I mean? It's all the same thing. It always goes to royals, G travellers, and obviously Freakmasons. Do you know what I mean? And they're the ones running your clubs, your pubs, and all the drugs and everything that's responsible for keeping your towns and cities, because they don't want you becoming rich. They don't want you becoming anything except slaves, yeah, and guinea pigs. Because when things don't work on you, they know that it ain't going to work on them. But if it works on you, as they experiment on you for longevity or whatever they need to do, yeah, then that's why they keep you around. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, that's another story. But yeah, I don't know, mate. It's just crazy, crazy, crazy. Like I said, you want to find criminals, you got to look to the criminals. You're just perverting families. Everything you see is all to do with Freakmasons. The whole lot. And then they're just whispering in people's ears. They're the ones, that have got all the money, all the businesses, because they've willed it down through the centuries. You go in there, they specifically want a candidate to leave a will So anything he has or got or, you know, has earned, it's willed and left to the brotherhood. Do you know what I mean? And then they look after the widows and his sons. Do you see what I mean? It's all crazy, you know what I mean? Absolute crazy. But anyway, my profane friends, that's enough of me moaning. Have a great day. I hope you learnt something here. And like I said, look at my forums, look at my videos, you know, because, you know, it's not a world problem, it's a local problem, you know. And your world, your world where you live right now, your estate, your town or your city, I wouldn't say villages, because most of the, most of the people, that are, in that higher class live in the villages anyway, and then they filled the villages up most of, with like satanic ritual abuse people, if you know what I mean. But that's another story. And they got a few people there, obviously there for cover, but that's another story. But that's the thing with it, you see, they're so crafty. You got to remember, these have been working at it from day one. The Lewises, from day one at being at school, they learn a different learning curve from your children. That's for starters. That's the first thing. Right. And then from there, they're learning all the different things, all the actual things they need to do to keep the profane dumb. Do you know what I mean? While they go on getting the best houses, all of that crap. Do you know what I mean? We'll run this boxing club. We'll run this gym. We'll run this shop. We'll run this stat. You know what I mean? That's all it is. They get to run everything. Where your children, you'll be working the McDonald's. Well, actually, they'll be on the dole, getting pissed around by Universal Credit. And all of that crap. But your kids will be all fit for factory work, all the slavery little jobs. That's what your kids will be on. Well, their kids will get to open hairdressing shops, makeup shops, and all the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, have a great day, my profane friends. Remember, I love you all.